Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your man, JKev. Hey, it's your man,
Go ahead.
JKev Johnson over at Two Shot Guys and One Mic here with my partner in crime, Lafe Taylor. Say what's up to the people out there, Lafe.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here at the office, still just getting the grind in, putting in some work. Talking with Kevin. Lamar's down there. I guess he was about to do something.
We put sometimes work consists of laughing and have a good time, letting off some steam, right? So today we're just going to talk about how to get over some of your biggest reservations and fears when it comes to pursuing some goals and dreams and some designated resolutions that you've made at any time in your life. A lot of times we each of us have like inborn fears and things that kind of that hold us back. And so we're just going to talk about a little bit and have a little discussion about some fears that each and every one of us may be having now. What are some of your fears that you're having that you're looking to overcome? The conversation kind of started in that Lafe asked me, why are you so shy? Was that one of the questions?
Yeah, that was one of the questions.
Why am I so shy? And I don't know why I'm shy. I was born that way, maybe. But it has been one of the fear of being in front of people and talking and kind of being out up front has been one of the things that has plagued me over the years that I've had to learn to get over and had to learn the skill and art of getting up out front regardless of how I felt inside. And so this is what kind of got us going on this topic today. And you know, Lafe expressed a reservation, I call it a fear, to me about some lifestyle diet changes that he was thinking about.
Yeah, so I had been watching some videos and just researching some information about like gluten and gluten. Not necessarily celiac disease, but a lot of the bad effects of gluten on your body. Myself personally, I have a lot like dry skin, especially this time of the year. My children as well. So I was looking into some research, and a lot of like eczema and those kinds of things can be attributed to gluten, which I never considered before. So I was thinking about, actually, I'm in the process of doing it now, just cutting out gluten out of my diet. And for me, I'm just the all or nothing kind of guy. And one of the reservations for me personally that I thought about was like, okay, so what will I eat? You know, since I'm a vegan, I don't know if many of you know that, I don't eat meat and a lot of dairy products at all. I don't eat any dairy products, as a matter of fact. And then eliminating pasta and those kinds of things out of my diet, which ironically, I haven't eaten any pasta for quite some time. So my reservation is kind of unfounded at the moment, right? My children eat a lot of bread, so I'm really more concerned about them than I am myself in terms of changing some of the dietary habits, living a healthier, more fit life, taking control back over my health. Lamar made a comment, he said, man, you gained a little weight since one of our videos. And I was like, you know what, maybe I have. And so,
well, you know, the camera does add like 10 pounds, so you know, that's probably what it was.
Yeah. Lamar ain't trying to hear that. But yeah, so just thinking about that kind of stuff is like, you know what, I'm gonna start implementing some more things back into my daily lifestyle, getting up super early in the morning and exercising. I was getting up at 5:30 every morning and going to the gym, so I'm thinking about doing that. But really going back to the reservations in terms of the diet, I was kind of concerned. It's like, okay, so I'm gonna have to change a lot of the way I eat. Hey, what's going on, Nina?
Hey, Nina.
And so that was one of the things that I've been thinking about. It's like, okay, if I don't eat gluten, what does that mean? It's like no cereal, no breads. It was a whole lot of things. And again, ironically, I haven't really been eating any as of late, so maybe my body was preparing myself.
Yeah. Sometimes your body has a way of getting ahead of you as far as preparation before you're mentally ready to accept or even consciously think about that.
Yeah, man.
Maybe that's what it is. There is something to that though, because when I used to work at an organic farm, and one of the things about seasonal changes is that your body is attuned to this earth. It's attuned to a lot of cycles and rhythms that we're not really aware of. So a lot of times the body is attuned to things, shifts that are taking place, and it'll help you shift in ways that you consciously may not be thinking of, or it hasn't really hit the brain, the conscious mind yet, but subconsciously you're already in that mode.
Okay.
How about the keto diet?
Are you trying to do the keto diet, Nina?
The keto, well, my view on the keto diet, yeah, it's good. There's a lot of the keto diet's good. I've tried it and it works. Just with any diet change, you might want to you can use it, any kind of diet, as patchwork, to kind of get you to a certain spot. But just be aware that the overall principle that you want to apply to your life, whether it's a diet or anything else, is that you have to make it a lifestyle change, and have to make it a whole paradigm shift, which is going back to what you were talking about, which had me thinking that whether it's a diet or whether it's me getting over my shyness, when it comes to fears, one of the things that helps is the principle of reflection, meaning the principle and art of taking time to reflect. And when I learned this, I'm articulating this now because I was thinking about a billionaire investment banker by the name of Ray Dalio, and I was listening to some of his speeches and talks and interviews, and one of the things he talks about was in order for somebody to make progress over on a continual basis, overstepping and overcoming a lot of opportunities and challenges and fears that you may have, is to take the pain of a mistake or a failure or a lesson, and then pain plus reflection equals progress. And the pain with regard to my shyness, the pain of me crashing and burning plenty of times in social situations.
That's not funny, but I'm sorry.
Plus the reflection of, hey, I don't want this to be something that debilitates me or keeps me from me being the best version of me that I can be, or that keeps me from making the leveling up progression that I seek to have on a continual basis. In order to overcome this, I have to take this pain, I'm reflecting on it. Now I have to gather and source out some skills, hone and cultivate some skills that's going to help me overcome this. And one of the things that I did to help me overcome the fear of talking on camera or being in front of people was I had a mentor. I had somebody who pulled me to the side, and I was open-minded enough to accept his help. You know, I was open-minded enough to help to be able to accept his mentorship, and he worked with me, and we did some recordings. We did some.
So how long did that take you? How long did that process last?
Surprisingly, the process did not take that long. That's the thing, is when you actually face up to your fear, it does not take long to get over the perception of that fear being something big that's going to take you a lot of time or to take a lot of work to get through. That may be the case in some areas, in some instances. It may be the case depending on your temperament and the person. You talked about your diet. I'm talking about my shyness and the fear that I had. But surprisingly, a lot of fears that I've had, it doesn't take long. It probably took maybe a solid month of me really recording myself and me practicing in front of him, and then practicing and going back and listening to myself. The process didn't take that long.
Yeah, and I guess in the grand scheme of things, a month is really, it may be a long time for some, but if you really think about it in the grand scheme of your life, a month is really not long at all. And even practicing something for 2 weeks can actually change your mindset and your mentality around accomplishing a goal. And Nina, I don't know if you're still there, one of the things that I would advise you to do, my wife went on the keto diet, and she had a lot of complications because you need to know what your internal makeup is.
Yeah.
You can experiment with it, but yeah, her body didn't react well at all to it. So I would advise you to like slowly start removing things out of your diet and see how that helps. Like for me, when I went vegan, it's hard to believe it's been so long ago. This was like 7 years ago. It was an easy switch for me. Like certain things I'm able to do real easy, while other things take more time, right? So for me, giving up meat and dairy, I did it. I made up my mind, and I was done, and I've been that way for 7 years. But with other things, it's some things you have more reservations about, and then so you have to like mentally prepare yourself to get over certain hurdles, and even understanding, like for example, getting in shape. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to train a lot. I used to exercise a lot. So one of the issues that I used to run into when I decided I wanted to start getting fit again was realizing how painful it is to start from scratch, right? Starting over. And so starting over is not necessarily, it doesn't feel great because you're starting from a weak base, and when you're trying to go from weak to gain strength, it's really painful, and I know that it's painful because I've been there so many times.
Yeah.
So getting over that mental hurdle of, you know what, I'm just going to suck it up and do it. And then once you start, that's part of the best thing. To just see your body reacts bad to carbs. Yeah, definitely. So the carb, if your body reacts bad, cut it out. You need to cut it. But it's like one of those things. It's like if you know that it's not good for you, have the courage to eliminate it, which is what I'm trying to do right now, right? Getting rid of carbs. That's why I'm putting it out there. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell people about it so they can hold me accountable.
So we can watch you over the course of these videos, and we can continually come back to it.
Yes, for sure. So like at the beginning of this year, one of the things that my wife and I we did was eliminated sugars from our diet for 10 days. That's really why I hadn't been eating any pasta, right? So we did that for 10 days. First few days sucked. It sucked pretty bad.
It's withdrawal.
Because I love fruit. Like fruit is like the highlight of my day, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like my one dessert. And
it's
then,
nature's Skittles.
Nature's Skittles.
Nature's Skittles.
I thought Skittles was nature's Skittles. Anyway, so like getting rid of those sugars, like it really wasn't as bad because I noticed I drank a lot more water. Since I've eaten sugar, I've eaten banana pudding, which I hadn't had in like 7 years. And that's what made me like, man, I'm getting fat. I need to cut this out of my diet. I need to start drinking more water. And so I really past couple of days have been assessing my inventory of myself, inventory of my habits, inventory of the things I've been doing. And so this is the embarking of a journey for me in terms of my fitness and tweaking some of the things in my personal life, like Kevin was talking about yesterday, like getting to sleep earlier and those kinds of things. Yeah.
Hey, well, you right on. You're right on it, because what I'm hearing is the pain of where you are now, is in particular, you know, talking about diet and some of the changes you're making. You're reflecting on it, and now it's causing you to progress. This is right on point, and this is a principle that when we like really articulate it and we really sit down and make a moment and time for it, it will help us turbocharge our progression in things that we want to achieve over the year. Like I said at the beginning, shyness was one of my biggest fears that I had to overcome in the past. One of my fears now is hopefully that you see over the course of the show and you see over the course of things developing, is that one of the fears I'm having now is the what if you don't succeed? What if you don't succeed with actually making the jump and doing the thing that you love to do? One of the reasons why we decided to start Two Shy Guys at a Mic, the whole brand of personal development, is that for me, I want you to actually follow and see somebody actually personally developing and leveling up. Doing this is forcing me to actually consider the pain that I'm feeling, and that right now I'm not doing something that is feeding my soul. It's feeding my stomach and paying the bills right now, but there's still an emptiness as far as having my soul satiated. And when I mean soul, I'm talking about having my mind consumed and my imagination captured to the point of you have that calm delight to where if I don't ever get paid for doing this, it's something that I have to do, that I must do.
Yeah. See, Nene says she doesn't want to be crippled by fear anymore. Thanks for doing it. Yeah, no problem.
Really?
But yeah, because that's one of the things like Kevin and I, we talk about quite often. Fear is like you said, it can be very crippling. It can stop you from doing the things you truly desire to do. One way, like he said, look at the pain and use that pain as fuel to go forward. And the pain that I'm referring to right now is, think about the pain of not trying. Think about the pain of not going after those things. Think about Think about the pain of sitting in a spot that you hate, right? So use that pain to propel you forward. He talked about fearing failure. Fear not trying more than you fear failure.
Man,
not trying is more debilitating than trying ever was, right? So you have to be willing to throw yourself out there and be willing to make a mockery of yourself. Like I said, I say this all the time. I purposely put my
pain and regret.
Yes, you definitely don't want that in your life. So I always put myself in positions, especially for a lesson for my kids. It's not for me necessarily. I'll put myself out there to try something new in front of them, and I'll look like a complete idiot doing it. But I do that to show them that even if I do look like an idiot, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so what? Somebody laughs. So what? Because at the end of the day, the people that were laughing and pointing are the ones that aren't trying either. So why let those people hold you back and hinder you from pursuing something that you truly, truly want, right? Don't do that. Don't allow anybody that's sitting on the sidelines, because guess what? If you put yourself out there, somebody will step up and help you.
Yep.
You'd be surprised. There's somebody else like, you know what? I was trying this, and here, just like with the Kevin's mentor, right? It's like, hey, I used to have the same issue. Here's how you should go about it. Or if you throw yourself out there, you'll meet people that are doing the same thing, and they'll show you nuances of how to achieve and overcome. So never feel afraid to throw yourself out there. I mean, just think about it. We're doing this. We're talking like by reservation. I know some of you may see Lamar Wilson's videos. I'm always on the other side of the camera. It's just ain't my thing. I have like a talk limit, just like Kanye West has a smile limit. I have a talk limit. Once I hit so many words a day, I'm done.
You're done.
My essay's over. So that's why I try to like balance the time that I get on camera and those kinds of things. But anyway, do not let the fear of trying or failing keep you behind.
Yeah, just dealing with fear. Another principle that this investment banker was talking about that kind of is resonating with what Lafe is saying is I'm hearing that when you make the decision to just go for it, you'll be surprised at the people that resonate with that energy that you're putting out, and it will attract those people who will help propel you forward in the endeavor that you choose to the direction you choose to go into. For example, just doing this show for me, and for I was talking to Lafe earlier before we got on, was that a while back I had known that I needed to be in a group, or I needed to be in a business type entrepreneurial relationship that will help me in those low moments and to help me overcome my fear of not succeeding and fulfilling my calling and the soul satiating thing that my soul is pushing me to do. So when I made that decision, it's funny that Lafe happened to give a message to me that let me know that he was ready and willing to do this show. Yep. So it's just funny how what they say, synchronicity, or when things is ready, they just fall into place. So just making the decision to recognize that there is a fear there is a reservation there, and then making the decision that no matter what pain you feel, you're going to reflect on it and you're just going to go for it. As soon as you make that first step, as soon as you make that first thought, things are already set in motion for your success. So don't ever let the culture, don't ever let acquaintances, don't ever let naysayers, people that laugh, criticize, don't ever let any of that hold you back. Life is too short. And there are a lot of miserable people who are sitting in cubicles, riding and just doing stuff with people they really don't want to be around all day. And life is too short, so you might as well go for it. Just go for it. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, and even going back to that again, just one of the things that, yes, you gotta get used to failure, Tammy. And one of the things, like me and my business partner Lamar, we're bringing Kevin into the fold. He comes to the office more often now.
I'm kind of like the mascot level right now. And then if I prove myself, I may become acquaintance level
it's
type.
Like, you have come further, my son. But yeah, so like for us, one of the things like what Kevin was talking about, we had this rule in the office that, no buttholes, right? Meaning that why spend the majority of your time around people you don't like? Why spend the majority of your time around people who aren't going in the same direction as you or have the same temperament? Not necessarily the same. They don't have to be the same people, but again, you have to have the same common goals.
Same mission.
Exactly. How can two walk together unless they agree? So it's those kinds of things. Like I know he's talking about collaboration, being yoked with like fellows, so to speak.
That's very important.
Yeah. So you have to. Again, life is so truncated. It's so small. It's but a vapor. So don't spend time that you don't have to spend. Right. I'll talk about when I got laid off back in 2009. I knew it was coming. It was the 2008 crash. Everybody might be familiar with that. The markets crashed in 2008, so companies were laying off people left and right. And I was telling my wife, I was like, I'm next. I know I'm next. Whenever a company starts laying off salespeople, if you don't bring in revenue for that company, chances are your job's gone, especially if you get a salary. Especially if you get a salary. So it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid what the future holds. I'm not afraid what's going to come. I'm not afraid because for me personally, I know that God wouldn't let me fail, right? I knew it wasn't going to be easy.
Man, I better take up a offer for this guy because he's on it.
Because I was determined I was not going to quit. And when a lot of times, when people think about failure, they think about small things. No, those are just learning experiences. As long as you keep going, you haven't failed. As long as you haven't stopped, you haven't failed. So in that process, I just knew that regardless of what came, I would be okay. And so, I told my wife, I was like, I'm not worried. I mean, this was at a time when I had a brand new house. My girls were just a year old. So I have twins, for those of you who don't know. My girls were just a year old. And I was, like I said, I was making a pretty decent salary. And all of that was going to be taken away soon. And I was like, you know what? I was determined that I would make it. And I was determined that once I got laid off, I was like, I'm never going back to work for anybody else again. I made up my mind. And it was rough. It was very rough. It was that same year that I met Lamar. So just think of the blessing, how if I had not moved forward in confidence and I didn't start pursuing my dreams, I never would have met my business partner who I've been working with for the past 9 years now. So those are the kinds of things that can happen. And those are the kinds of opportunities that come in your life, but you have to be willing to step out there. You have to be willing to take whatever may come, right? Especially going back to the reservations. If you have dreams, if you have things that you truly desire to do in this life, you have to get out and start doing it. Nobody's going to start it for you. They can't. What's going on, Amari, man? He's a good dude. Good dude. We're doing well, brother. We're just talking about apprehensions and fears, reservations, those kinds of things, and how to overcome them. But you have to be willing to step out there, put yourself out in front of the world, and be naked before the world. Yeah, just be willing to be naked before the world, and once people stop laughing, you can keep moving.
You can keep moving.
Yeah.
Well, another principle that is very important in this life is that you have a connection with God, with the higher power. And I'm saying that just from a personal experience, in that I know what it's like to be so addicted to the paycheck, so tethered to a job that you literally are afraid to leave the reservation. I know what that's like. Yep. And a few years ago, I had an
we'll answer your question, Tammy. Don't worry.
I had an experience where I was so tethered to this job and I was so addicted to the paycheck that I literally could not fathom what I was going to do if I lost that job.
Yeah, I've been there.
And the amazing thing is that I had an experience where a week before I was let go, I knew that I was going to be let go. Nobody physically told me. I just had a thought that I'm going to give you some breathing time. And the next week I was let go, and I learned how to get over the fear of not being addicted to a paycheck. No. And I've literally been living like a wanderlust kind of bohemian lifestyle. And I literally have been like just kind of like going from one situation to the next, but I'm going to get health. My family is taken care of. I have a good support system. This is what it means to make sure that you develop good quality. Make it a high priority to make sure you develop good friends, have a good tribe, have a good community. Yes. I know that if anything really happens to me, I know that if Lafe doesn't take care of me, I know his wife will. She will make sure she will make sure that I stay well fed and make sure I had a place to stay. So I'm not worried.
Yeah. So I'll get to you, Shamika. I want to answer Tammy. Yeah. What if you don't know what direction to step in?
Okay.
And this is talking about apprehensions. Sometimes you just have to take time out and just stop.
Yes.
I know that, Tammy's my cousin. I know her very well. So sometimes you just have to take a break. Take a break and figure out what it is you truly want in this life. Yep. We talk about it all the time because that's part of what we have to do. What is your mission? What is your purpose in life? And sometimes the easiest way to start is write down things you don't like.
Yes.
Make a list of things that you never want to do again.
Start writing.
It goes back to the pain that Kevin mentioned. Like I always tell people, like when they ask how to write contracts, I was like, you know what? Lamar and I got very good at writing contracts after we went through an experience we never wanted to experience again. So we would start like, you know what? I'm never going to do that again. That's going into the next contract. I never want to do that again. That's going into the next contract. And in terms of taking life directions, it's not going to be easy. Change is one of the biggest stressors in life. So you have to be willing to understand that and know that before you start going in a new direction, it's going to be stressful because, like as Nina mentioned earlier, you have to be a faith walker.
Yes.
Because you do not know what's coming. Sometimes it's more comfortable being in a painful situation because you understand the circumstances of that pain as opposed to going into a new situation where you don't understand anything that's coming your way.
No, nothing.
Yeah, so you have to be willing to understand that pain may come. However, if you're resolute, again, goes back to resolution and basically I'll use a church term, you have to be convicted.
Yes.
Once you get convicted in your heart, it doesn't matter what happens. You'll be guaranteed to go your direction. I remember, again, I'll use my example from my own life.
Yeah, because,
and one of the examples in my own life is I'm a designer. I'm a designer by trade. And I remember when I first got out of school, I had no job offers, right? And then my mom was like, why don't you just go work at a fast food? I was like, no. I was like, again, this is my mindset. I'm a type A, stubborn type of dude. I was like, I'll starve before I do anything other than design. I was willing to do that, and actually, I've not done anything other than design since I got out of school because that was just my mindset, and I was so determined that I'm going to make this work. I didn't do this just to be doing it. I did it because it was my passion and it's something I wanted to do. I want to address what Shamika said. She said she has dreams. She says she's right. She writes. She's been afraid to share it. It feels like being naked, like you said.
Yeah.
I needed to really hear this. Thank you. No problem. Start writing. Yeah, put it out there. You'd be surprised at where your gifts can take you. You'd be surprised at who wants to hear or see your gifts.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. People will come out of the woodworks. Every person on this earth has a circle of influence amongst a group, a tribe, a circle of people. We are relational and social beings.
And take advantage of that.
If
you're not doing that now as shy people, if you're not doing that now, start building your network right now. Because taking steps out, you'll be surprised who comes to your aid. It's the person you least expect a lot of times that comes to your aid, or it's like, oh, you're a writer? Well, my uncle was a writer. And you just be surprised. So you have to tell everybody. Again, I know some people like don't tell your gifts what you're trying to do to everybody. They might try to tear you down. I'm of the opposite. And the reason I'm that way, again, I have to use personal experience. Lamar and I, we used to like hold things secret and tight, and then it was like we came to the point it's like nobody cares what we're doing. They just don't. They don't care that much about our lives, where if I put out an idea, they'll take it. Because guess what? You throw the idea out there. Most people don't care about taking your idea because they have their own ideas they want to do and they have to execute. So even if you throw it out there, just make sure you execute better than anybody that hears it.
Yeah, and there's a million different ideas out there. Everybody, we forget that a lot of times we spend so much time in our head that we forget that everybody else is spending time in their head as well.
Yep.
Just going back to being a faith walker. Just having the ability just to hold your breath and just do it. Go back to the writing. Yep. One of the things that got me started with getting over my fear or challenge of being shy was writing, and that I had a fear of talking and getting in front and saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things about writing is that writing forces you to crystallize and articulate really well before you actually say it. So when you build that habit up, your verbal liquidity starts increasing. I don't know if it's a real word. Is that a real verbal liquidity?
Hey, it is now.
It is now.
That's how we do things.
Yeah, we just make up stuff as we go. What's the etymology of that?
Yeah, exactly. But even truthfully, what he's saying, again, just put it out there and start.
Blog.
Yeah, vlog, blog, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just to continue to write and put that information out there. Again, you can't get help if nobody knows what you need help with. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the main reasons why you want to put stuff out there. It's one of the it's one of the main reasons why you want to tell any and everybody what you do. My brother, he was on here earlier. I don't know if he's still there. Years ago, we did a magazine, and we were trying to get a word out about a specific situation about my brother-in-law, and had no magazine background, had nothing. And within a week, this was like at the beginning of Facebook, before Facebook was even a thing. I didn't even know how to use it. We were able to get a circulation of 20,000 out to like 20,000 emails and newsletters within a matter of 2 days.
That's amazing.
And this is before this viral stuff that they have now, because we were telling any and everybody. I was telling little kids, I was telling their parents, telling everybody, just constantly just pushing it out there, and it caught on to where we got written up in the newspaper talking about the scenario. What's going on, Gus? It was a lot of different things. Yeah, WGO, that's what it was. And so we got a lot of people latching on to it. Gus is always trying to be on the camera. He thinks he's cute or something. But we were able to get the circulation out there and getting people to follow us and follow the story. And it was only because we weren't trying to hide it under a rock, right? A city on a hill cannot be hid, right? You don't light a candle and put it under the table. You gotta put it out there, let the world see it, and spread it as much as possible. So if you have something that you want to do, tell people about it. You'll be surprised who helps you.
Man, when you was talking, it was bringing me back to the principle of being focused and going all in. Just getting over your fears, and then just deciding to, at some points in life, you do have to sprint and you do have to put all your eggs in one basket. So this is what you see. This is what you see right now is you see us going all in on something and putting all our eggs in one basket. Just given with where a lot of things are with respect to Facebook being a platform, trying to attack and take over YouTube. So just things like that. Just being aware and knowledgeable about your situation and where you're at will also help you too. Going back to some of the previous talks we've had as far as like being able to get over the fear, get over your fears is taking time to reflect on the pain or failures of yesterday, which will help you progress, and then also taking the time to meditate and have some quiet time in which you can actually get somewhere and think about some things.
Think, pray, meditate, all of that stuff.
And that's one of the things that the investor Baker talks about. So he said if it wasn't for meditation, that he would never would have gotten to billionaire status. That's how much he importance, how high of a priority he made it to meditate, which means just taking the time to sit down and just think. That will help you get over a lot of fears, because then you'll start realizing that a lot of fears that you may have are really irrational.
Yes.
They really don't make sense. For example, I got over the fear of actually knocking on doors and selling at one particular job by just thinking, like, what's the worst thing that somebody could do to me for me knocking on their door and asking if they want to buy a product? And I was thinking, like, is somebody really going to punch me in my face? I mean, what's the odds of it? It might happen. It might happen if I was in Compton or something. I don't know. But well, not well.
You gonna throw them up?
Who knows? What's the worst that could happen? So that really got me over the fear of knocking on the door or picking up the phone and making the call. With the fear of selling and having reservations about that.
Anybody else have any apprehensions that they'd like to throw out there? Maybe get some tips or some pointers on, or get some community help.
You want to come in?
You got any apprehensions, Gus?
On what?
We're talking about fears.
Talk about getting over your apprehensions, getting over things that you're trying to do. Because I know Gus is trying to do some things. I don't know if he wants to share.
Okay.
But he'll probably be on here because Gus likes the camera.
I'm gonna stay behind the camera since they say I like the camera. The fear is
Randy Ashford. That is real.
I used to have the same fear dealing with conflict. Yeah, again, being transparent and talking about some of the things that I went through, like going back to the 2008 scenario, actually in 2009 when I got laid off. When Kevin said, he was going door to door, he's like, what's the worst that could happen? And that's literally what I told my wife. I was like, look, at the very worst, we could lose our house, we could lose our car, we could lose all our material goods, but as long as we have each other, we can survive. Period. If just look at your life like this. If you were smart enough to get where you currently are right now, then you're smart enough to get back to it if you lose your position. So just be confident that you survived and made it to this point. Don't think about it as like, oh man, what happens? The job didn't put you where you are. You did. It was you. It was you that interviewed. It was you that went out there. It was you that went through the steps to get where you currently are. See, Tammy said, I just got my LCSW. I don't know what that is. I'm terrible with acronyms because I'm in technology and we go across many different industries. So there's all kinds of acronyms. So if you want to elaborate on what that is, Tammy, please feel free to do that. He said, I'm unsure what to do, and I think because not being confident. So in terms of confidence, you definitely have to just, again, remind yourself of how, think about it. It's like you went through the process of getting that license, right? You did that, you studied. You got accredited by somebody, some accrediting organization. So you've made it, right? You got your license. You took a step many other people haven't taken. So you've already gotten there. So use that as your confidence builder. Use that as the fact that's like, okay, I had thought about doing this. I went through the steps to do it, and now I'm here. So from that point, now you have the confidence to go tell somebody what you do. And one of the things that I always tell people, and I'm like, what do you do? And when people say, well, I'm just, and wrong answer. I do this. Don't demean yourself in any way. Speak confidently to yourself. Use self-affirmations if you have to. Read scriptures. Find somebody that you like that can motivate you. All of these kinds of things that build up your mental character, right? Build up your mental reserves. Lift those mental weights. And again, just things like, okay, I've made it here. I can make it further.
Man, you reminded me of a time when you talked about when somebody asked you what you do and you hesitated. One of the things that I used to be in MLM, multi-level marketing. And one of the things I learned while doing that, as far as sales, relations, learning how to talk in front of groups, one of the things that helped me build confidence in the initial phase of me joining an MLM or multi-level marketing organization was that I had one of the things that helped me was that I would get in the mirror and write out a statement, and I would practice that statement until that statement was a part of who I was. So when somebody would ask me, So what do you do? It would roll off my tongue that I'm a big independent business owner operating in these areas. Versus before I did that, I would hesitate because I didn't feel like it. I wasn't confident enough to say that. So one of the tricks, if you want to say it, or hack that you can use as far as confidence is, first and foremost, you've already made the important step of getting accredited by a body that other people have already placed their confidence in. So you just use that as a stepping stone to help you move forward in your endeavor of being a licensed clinical social worker. So that's one of the things you can do. You've already done the process.
See, Nina wrote something. Yeah, definitely sorry to hear that, Nina. Said, through my journey of life, losing my husband in 2011 and starting over, I could have grieved, lived a woe is me victim mentality, but in the process, I see beauty in place of darkness. Today I see every challenge and roadblock with the glass half full and not empty. It's been rewarding because I have seen God's faithfulness through it all, even when it didn't make sense. Hence, the faith walker mentality arose. I mean, that's powerful.
That's very
powerful. A lot of people have suffered loss of various kinds, and those things can be debilitating. They can be crippling. And again, I understand. It's like I don't even know if I've ever mentioned it on here. My brother and my father were both murdered. They were murdered. My father was murdered when I was 20. My brother was murdered when he was 20. He was 21 or 22 at the time. So I understand how painful those losses can be, and I understand the mentality. Again, for me, just like you, Nina, it was a God thing, right? It was one of those things that if it had not been for God on my side, it's cliche, but it's real. It's real. It's very real. And so it's those kinds of things that give you strength, they give you inner strength, and again, it gives you perspective. It gives you perspective in life to look back, to take a step back. It's like, okay, this is going on. I'm still here. These things are going on in the world. And there's people that have suffered way more than I have that have made it. And not only that, but it's like it gives you a chance to look at family, look at friends. That's why our network is so huge. It was actually during that time that I understood the true value of community, right? It's people that come to your aid when you didn't even realize you needed help. People that, that bring things to you, that give you words of comfort and those kinds of things. It's during those times that you realize why community is very important. And that's one of the reasons why I always stress it to people. Get to know your community, but find a community that you can love and care for, and that can love and care for you. Because while you're in the midst of that, then you can realize that when these tragic times happen, you have strength that you didn't realize that you needed. I've seen times where people were like, so this church didn't come to my aid, these people didn't come to my aid, but before the tragedy happened, you never talked to them. You never reached out to them. You didn't build a rapport with them. And it's those kinds of things, yes, life together. We're all, like you said, we're all part of this. So we have to understand that and be willing to make ourselves known. Hey, Kevin, it's like, I didn't know Kevin all my life.
And be willing enough to make yourself vulnerable and transparent to have to feel rejection or feel the negative aspect of that, of it. So fear. Having a fear or reservation about even opening yourself up and making yourself vulnerable is just a part of what it means to be a human.
It's a huge part.
Yeah. So one of the things that one of the principles that the billionaire investor talked about, Ray Dalio talked about, it helped him with that, was letting go of his ego.
Okay. Yes.
Letting go of ego and saying, hey, these people, for whatever reason, this, that, the other, we're not clicking. This is happening. You experience that emotional response, that feeling, and you just let it dispensate. Yeah. You just let it go. Do not hold on to it, and do not let it resonate, or do not let it meditate. Don't meditate on it. You just experience it. We're human beings, and then you just let it go.
Yeah, definitely, Brandy said something she struggled with is opening up and being transparent and vulnerable. Yeah, it's very hard, but it's like the more free, again, these are mental blocks.
Yeah.
A lot of the things we struggle with is ourselves. It's our own mental blocks. What you got, Gus? Gus wants to get on camera. See, he can say it from back there. You got to get on camera. Yeah, what you got, brother? What you want to say?
You know what I think? I had to write it down so I won't forget. I think we think too much. You know, since you're using biblical principles, God says that He wants us to be as children, right? Mm-hmm. Children don't think; they only respond, right? So that's why kids don't have fears, right? They can walk to the edge and dance around the edge and not think twice about it. But you panic, you're like, move, get away from the edge. That's because kids don't think about it. They don't have a fear of fear itself. So I think to a certain degree we think too much, and that I'm just pulling back on something that was said earlier of what I think Lafe was talking about. I can't remember what Lafe when he was talking about. As far as being like out in business, now I'm trying to do something that I ain't never done before. So in a certain degree, that's how I think about it as a child, right? I'm just gonna go out and do it. If I'm successful at it, I'm gonna try to be successful at it. But if I come up short somewhere, then I evaluate it. But for the most part, you have to think about like it as a child. Just go do it.
Man,
don't think about it. Just jump. That's it.
That's an interesting statement. In that a few days ago, we had a talk about that on another show, and that one of the tactics or strategies that you can use to get over fear is to take on the mindset of a child, and we often lose that ability when we become adults, right?
Yeah,
a lot of times because our knowledge base is broad. We are aware of too much sometimes, and we get what he was talking about, analysis paralysis, where we think of all the what ifs. Oh yeah. What if this doesn't go right?
Start running the gambit, then it's like you start off putting on your gym shoes, and then you just sit in your chair and start pondering, right?
Yeah.
You don't make any moves. You don't take any action steps forward. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Versus, but when you watch children, they just go do it. They really don't. They don't think about a lot of stuff, which is part of being immature. But we being mature adults have to learn how to hold captive some of the negative thoughts and just go for it anyway.
And again, we always talk about this, but like know thyself, that kind of stuff. Yep. You have to understand your own temperament, your own mentality, and set yourself up to win, right? You have to set yourself up to be successful, because again, like for me, I always say I'm a type A person. I'm shy most part, but I'm Gus was like, yeah, right. but I'm a type A personality in the sense that if I want to do something, I just have to get it done. Yeah. And I make up in my mind that when I start to do something, nothing's gonna stop me from doing it. And that's not to say I'm Superman or any superhuman person. I do have failures and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But I'm so determined to accomplish the task that I set before myself that I eliminate all fears and doubts by just throwing myself out there. And that's what we have to do sometimes, whether it be public speaking, whether it be starting a new journey, whether it be anything in this world. It's like, make up your mind, figure out how you think, how you tick. And that's why quiet time is so necessary. Yeah. It has to be necessary. What's up, George? Yeah, you have to be unstoppable, and you have to think that way. And again, and I'm not saying think you're rational. Well, actually, it is irrational to think that way in some people's perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the possible is always possible as far as I'm concerned. But again, it's just making up your mind. Going back to the resolution, being resolute, being convicted that this is what you're going to do no matter what. Once you have that mentality and once you've convinced yourself, because you have to convince yourself. It's not necessarily, I don't have to convince Kevin that I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I have to convince myself, because I'm the one that has to live through it. Yep. I'm the one that has to go through the pain. I'm the one that has to go through the suffering. But again, if I keep my end goal in mind, and I know that that's what I want more than anything in this world, then I believe that I can achieve it. Man,
now you're hitting on another principle of first and foremost, knowing your why. Yep. And making sure that your why is big enough that your why pulls you towards it, versus you having to muster up the energy to drive and push forward. Yep. Push towards it. Or there's only so much inner drive and motivation that a human being can muster up over an extended period of time. So which which speaks to the importance of making sure that your why is so big, so that when you do go through those rough times, and when you do have those fears, which we all will have, when you do find yourself struggling, which we all are doing.